Creating a journal for a cherished friend is one of the most heartfelt gifts we can give. As I embark on the journey of crafting Barbara's journal for this year's Dephemerember, I find myself reflecting on the profound connection we share. I enjoy every single minute because I know she will fill this journal with so many special pieces of ephemera. She will not only share her ideas, but also pour her heart into this journal during a time of the year that is so special, not only for both of us, but also for thousands of people out there, perhaps even for you. Every step I take in putting this journal together will carry a piece of my heart, encapsulating the laughter, the tears, and the countless moments that have shaped our friendship over the years. It's not just about creating a junk journal. It's about honoring the beautiful soul that Barbara is and celebrating the bond that has enriched my life in so many ways. It's also about the appreciation I have for every single one of you out there who is part of this special friendship, thanks to the lovely words you've left below our videos, in emails and messages. Without your sweet words about our friendship, it wouldn't be the same. I want you to feel very much part of this journey of creating Barbara's journal, and I wish for you to experience the magic of creativity and friendship no matter where in the world you are. Today, I'm going to create the cover for Barbara's journal, and you can also find a video on her channel today where you can watch how she creates the cover for the journal I will receive from her. I am more than excited to see what she has made, and if you want to see that as well, please find her video linked below this one. For the cover, I want to follow a tutorial she shared with us a while ago on her YouTube channel. For all of you, though I know it's only a few of you who don't know Barbara yet, she has 49 dragonflies on social media, and I will of course put all the links where you can find her down below this video. When I saw Barbara's video about her slashed fabric journal cover, I immediately fell in love with it, even if I could imagine how patient one would need to be to create something like that. But Dephemerember wouldn't be Dephemerember if we didn't try exactly those things, right? I have never made slashed fabric before, and if you know me, you also know that I like to challenge myself. So let's make a slashed fabric journal cover with, let's call it a Heinzel twist. Quick little note before we start. You can find more information and some basic Q&A about Dephemerember linked below this video in case you are new here or if this is your first year joining Dephemerember. And perhaps you're wondering why we are making our journals so early in the year? Well, we want to give you the time to either create a journal for yourself or swap with a partner, even if you of course don't necessarily need a journal to join Dephemerember. So let's go into this and let's make this cover. I'm starting by cutting the base layer for my slashed fabric. This piece is 39.5 by 22.5 centimeters, which is approximately 15.5 by 9 inch. The spine is going to become 7.5 centimeters, which is approximately 3 inch. And we will put a total of 4 signatures into our journal so that there's 1.5 centimeters, approximately 0.5 inches in between of the signatures. I can hear you. You can find these measurements of the journal on my website as well. So please don't freak your freak now. You don't need to make notes now. Let's better focus on this wonderful sound of tearing an old pillowcase from my grandma. This sounds like junk journal music, doesn't it? So cool. I wanted to have something really special from my stash for Barbara's journal. That's why I decided to use this pillowcase from my grandma. This material has two different advantages. The first is that you can tear it really, really easily, so that I could easily manage to get all of these scraps to my base layer. And the second advantage is that it can soak wet mediums really well. So perhaps you want to consider that as well if you want to make something like this for your own journal cover as well, or for the journal cover that you swap with a partner. The next material is some lace. I also took some lace which is really easy to tear so that I can make my life easy. And this last layer is again a piece of the pillowcase, which now covers everything up. So then I'm trying to measure here where the spine has to be later and where I want to sew now. If you know me, you know that I hate measuring and that to be honest, I'm not able to measure anything. So I had a lot of measuring fails in the past. So that's why I'm struggling here a little bit, and yeah, not struggling, but I double check everything that it is really exact what I'm doing here, because what I want to do now is I want to sew around the whole thing, and then I want to sew along the middle where the spine has to go later, and that of course has to be a little bit exact, even if it's a junk journal, because later on of course I want to put my signatures in there, and then this whole thing has to be proportionally correct and measurement wise correct, if that is English. So I have now my stitching here. I first went around the whole thing with a running stitch, and then there where I made my little marks, so that I now have these stitched lines where the spine then later on is. That also gives a really nice orientation, and you can really see what you are doing next. So here, another really weird measuring. When I look at this and make the voiceover for this video, I really have to laugh because this looks so funny how I do that. But that is how my brain works, and that is sometimes a little bit weird. So what I'm trying to find out here is how I want to sew little rectangles to the cover. You will later on in a few seconds see why I'm doing that, because as I said in the beginning, I wanted to give this whole thing the Heinzel twist. Don't do this, just don't do it. Oh my goodness. This took me ages. I am so proud of myself. Oh my goodness. My whole body hurts, but I made it. I think the award for the most patient person on YouTube today goes to myself. Holy crap. So I have sewn this thing on the front cover and the back cover with a method I will show you now, or explain now. Each of these rectangles have the sewing here like so, here like so, meaning every second of these rectangles is sewn horizontally, and then this, and this. So, the other one next to the horizontal one is sewn vertically, so that this now is like, a flooring or so. The same thing here on the back. Here on the spine, I just went like this, so that this later on looks very different than the front and the back. And there is definitely no second person in this world for whom I would do something like this. Barbara, bild dir was ein drauf, ey. Bild dir echt was ein. What you could hear and see a second ago was obviously some of my original video footage before editing the video. I thought I need to leave that in the video because I have laughed about myself so much. Yeah, I think that is a proof that you sometimes have to stay with what you're doing and that you have to go on no matter how painful it is and no matter how impatient you get. But I have to laugh again because at that moment after the sewing, I didn't know how much work it would be to cut all of these little areas open now. Compared to Barbara's slashed fabric, I have way more of these little things there. If you haven't seen her video about her slashed fabric journal cover, then please watch that. The link is down below in the description box, of course. And if you want to make something that is, yeah, I guess a little bit faster, I mean, that is hard to compare. I don't know how long it has taken her to make her cover. Yeah, I can't compare that. And I, to be honest, haven't asked her how long it took her. But I guess that her method is a little faster than mine here. And yeah, perhaps you want to try that first or so before you do something like this here. I guess you could even sew completely different patterns on these layers here and then, you know, make perhaps some waves or some circles, I guess would look really nice as well. But then no matter what you have done, you have to cut all of these little things open. My problem here was that I had a really hard job to decide how deep I can cut. I wanted to make that a little irregular on the one hand, but on the other hand, I was a little bit afraid that I could cut through the base layer as well. After a little bit of struggling, and of course that comes because everything is white here, yeah? That wouldn't be such a problem if you would have different colors of fabric and perhaps, let's say your base layer is black and the other layers have other colors, then you could easily see how deep you already have cut and then you could see, okay, here's the black layer, now I have to stop. Do you know what I mean? But in this case, everything was white and I really had a problem to decide how that would be good. I used my finger to put it under those slots so that I could feel where my scissors are through the fabric. And I have some of these slots which are cut completely through the whole thing because I thought perhaps that looks nice as well. And we also have this blue layer, which I made in the beginning with the writing on it, which comes then later to the inside of the whole thing so that even holes wouldn't make a big difference because that would be then covered up and closed again. So I went then to my washing machine and I have put that in there. I was really afraid to press this button there because I thought if anything will go wrong now, then everything would be like, yeah, wasted time or so. But I was a lucky girl and this worked just wonderfully. As you can see, this is perfectly frayed now. And here, what you can see here is it is still a little bit wet here. So I haven't put this thing into my dryer because I thought, why should I dry it? I mean, perhaps that would make a little difference for the fraying. But since I want to use some spray stain here now, I thought let's use the moisture, which is still in the fabric, to let these sprays run a little bit better. I'm starting with pumice stone, I thought, and that is the spray stain. I thought that is a good color to start with. This looks really weird at the moment, but in a second it gets better. I wanted to blend the colors a little bit, but of course I know that that will not happen by itself. So since the fabric was a little bit wet from the washing machine, I could spray this on. The next color is, by the way, Lost Shadow spray stain. And then in a second you will see how I blend these colors into each other. What I'm trying to say is don't freak out when your result is in the first minutes like this, because I guess that is normal. And it is, of course, depending on the fabric you use, how well these colors bleed, if that is the right word. But we will solve this problem in a second. This is frayed burlap. what I want to use next is, it looks a little bit like something really weird which came out from, you know, the backside of a dog or so. When I spritzed the colors on here, I thought, what shall this become in the end? I mean, why does it look so weird? But then I remembered what my friend Marlies at Marley Design always says: if you have something that looks really weird, just go on, add more and more and more, and just go on, and then in the end, everything will be just fine. And she is 100% right every single time. So what did I do? I spritzed some more water to help the spray stains go into the fabric better. And then I rubbed the fabric, as you can see here, on, how can I say that? You know, you have seen what I did. I can't explain that in English. I'm so sorry. So let's go on with the next color. That's easier, because this is speckled egg. I have made a little ball out of my cover so that I could get the speckled egg really randomly to this thing. First, I thought I wanted to use just a little bit of this color because, as you perhaps already have heard, we have decided for neutral colors for our journal cover. Have you heard that already? I think you haven't even heard that. Holy moly. I don't know for sure if you already have heard that somewhere, but if not, that is the information. We wanted to have something really neutral so that we can do everything we want during Dephemerember color-wise, and it will always fit. So I thought, okay, this blue is something that has to do with Barbara, you know. She likes this color really well, and she likes this color really well. She likes this color really much. Holy moly. And because of that, I wanted to use it. But in a second, you will see the colors will change a lot. I don't know why that happened, but obviously with drying and perhaps in combination with this pillowcase material, they changed. You will see in a second how that then looks. The speckled egg disappeared a little bit and turned into somehow a greenish yellow. But let's first talk about my iron here. I thought, what if I take my dirty iron? This is my iron I use only for crafting, and it had a lot of like rusty, crusty things on it from other projects. That is like not real dirt, yeah, but leftovers from other projects. So I thought perhaps I can transfer that to my cover, and that worked perfectly fine. My iron was nearly clean in the end. Really good trick. And another thing that happened was that obviously the spray stain got a little bit burnt, and that made the perfect grunge. Then I decided that I want to see more of this lace layer I have added before, and which is of course now hidden under this top layer. So I decided that I want to, be patient again for a few hours. You can see I have sped up the video here so that you don't have to wait until Christmas 2058 or so. I have just torn one of the, several of the top pieces off, yeah, there where the pillowcase material was, and some spots, so that the lace then comes through really well, and that gives it, I think, another cool addition. Here you can also see the whole thing, how it looks when it's dry. Obviously the colors have changed, but I like it. Somehow this color is cool. So I also found this piece of lace, which you could see there a second ago in my stash. Perfect size by coincidence. And then I wanted to use this stamp set because I know that Barbara loves this stamp set so much, and I can totally understand her. It's just amazing. So I have stamped the number 49, obviously because of 49 dragonflies, yeah, so that is something that shows that it is her journal. And then I took some black acrylic paint and went over the stamping again. As you can see here on the fabric where I stamped it on, it's not completely black. I have used archival ink black soot for stamping that, but I knew I mean, I knew that it wouldn't be totally black, but I wanted to have it black. So what I'm trying to say is I just used the stamps as an orientation where to paint, because I knew that I could never make a 49 just by painting it freehand. Yeah. So then I have stitched everything on the right, in the middle, and the left, so that we now have the lace a little loose there, so that she could perhaps tuck something behind if she wants. And I have also sewn around the 49 that made it really puffy somehow because of the materials underneath. And here you can see what I was drinking the whole time while I did that to cool myself down. I have taken some water, and then I have put some frozen berries in there to make the water and my brain cold, because now we have to do something that requires patience again. I wanted to have this 49, and I know that that is the the craziest plan of this whole project. It was so difficult to do, but I'm so proud that it worked. I wanted to have the 49 just on the cover without this fabric around. But the problem was there were, for example, here where the 4 is, I can't tear my fabric diagonal. That is not possible because of the, the how do you say that, the threads of the fabric go either horizontally or vertically, and you can't tear diagonally. Holy moly. Why is English such a hard language? Can you see what I'm doing there? So I'm cutting the diagonal, and then I take my scissors to fray the edges a little bit so that it doesn't look cut. It really helps if you have really sharp scissors and fabric which you can tear. Can you see here? I'm just going with the scissors and the fabric because it's sturdy but easy tearable. It tears by itself somehow. I don't even have to cut it, and that makes it, of course, look more frayed in the end. So I went around this whole 49 with my scissors really carefully to be sure that I don't cut into my lace, and that I don't cut into my stitching, and that I don't freak out, you know. So here we go. The 49 is there. So now I'm taking another journal from my stash. Yeah, this is just a journal I made a while ago. It's not finished yet, by the way. This is my embroidery journal, but that doesn't matter what it is. I just wanted to put that in the cover to be able to imagine how Barbara's journal would look in the end. And that way I can better decide what I want to do for the decoration and how to attach the decoration. This thing, don't ask what that is. I found that in my stash and I really like this golden and white thread. No, it's not thread. You know what I mean. This big, it's not thread, I'm sure. And these tassels and these little shells, I thought that fits so well. I really like this combination with the gold and the silver. And the problem was when I have sewn that on, I couldn't sew until the very end of this thing because of the thickness of this tassel and these beads that are there. So I decided to take, what's this thing called? A brad, and make a little hole into this thing and into the cover. And then I have fiddled the brad through both of these things to make sure that the tassel in the end is not hanging in the air, but that it is like straight in one line with the rest. I think that was a really good idea, even if this took me also like, it felt like hours. Somehow I couldn't get the legs of this brad through this thick material of the cover, but you know, patience, and trust the process. And I think this really adds to the interest of this whole thing as well. So sometimes you really have to do the hard things to be satisfied in the end. And I'm really hoping that Barbara will like this as well. This thing with the, I think the word is string, not thread. I think that is correct. This string with the shells is not sewn on completely. I have just sewn that on with a zigzag stitch in several different places so that it is on there really secure. But in between of the sewing, there are still some loose areas, so that Barbara could decide to add some tassels, for example, additional tassels or dangles or little things, which she can then just fiddle through these little things. So perhaps she wants to make some ephemera for the cover. That could be a thing that she could consider, but of course it could also stay like it is. Then I made this little label. Patience again, because I needed 2 brads in the same size and small enough to fit through these little holes of this label. Don't ask. Just don't ask. I've used some Ideology brads, one of these really tiny ones, which are normally for the clocks and these little things, I guess. And that then worked. So I wanted to have these brads just there for decoration, because they can't hold this label on the lace, I think. Yeah, and I didn't want to have this these holes showing, the holes from the label, I mean. And here I make it really secure. I put some glue under the label and under the lace, so that that is really sturdy and that it holds really well. And then, by coincidence, I found these panda bears. I had such a blast to buy those. I bought them locally, and I know they are not vintage. They are, yeah, nothing special, nothing from a flea market, nothing from my grandma. They are just panda bears, but I'm so in love with them. And if you know Barbara's channel, you know why they needed to be there. And if you don't know that, watch her videos and watch them until the very end, because then you learn about the panda bears. So then I thought the 49 is a little bit too massive on this cover. So I wanted to bring that a little bit more to the background, and that it gets like more harmonious with the rest. And I thought, I can't do a project without white splatters. Otherwise, this whole thing would be really weird, because, you know, white splatters, that is me somehow. And then in the very end, I thought, okay, we need more white. How to do that on this stained fabric? Acrylic paint would probably fade, not fade. It would get stained as well. And yeah, with that, it would look faded somehow. Any other gesso-based medium would also perhaps be a little problem. So that was why I had really weird feelings in my stomach while I was doing this, because here I'm adding some opaque crackle paste, and that is gesso-based, of course, as well. I was not so sure if that could work or if it will end in a disaster, but it worked. I was so happy that it worked. And I also did that with the crackle paste, because for the last journal I made for Barbara for Dephemerember, that is already 2 years ago, I also had some crackle paste on the cover, and I thought perhaps this journal is then like a little part 2 of her Dephemerember journals, and it has this connection with the crackle paste. Yeah, so that was also a reason why I did that. So I really hope that Barbara will love this cover as much as I do, and that she will have a really fun time to work in this journal. I mean, I say this journal, it isn't even a journal yet, it's just a cover. But of course you will see how this will become a whole journal with our next videos. And please don't forget to check out Barbara's video to see what she has done for my cover, or for the cover of my journal. I already say my journal, even if I haven't seen it yet. But I'm just so excited, and I can't wait to receive that journal from her. And if you now got this feeling like, I want to try something like this as well, then I have a tip for you. Stop whatever you are doing and just start. Don't wait, just start. No matter if you want to create a journal for yourself or for a swap partner, just don't wait, okay? Start today. And I say that because it is just so much fun and such a wonderful experience. And if you want to search for a swap partner, you have different possibilities, of course. You can search in the comments below our videos. And there are also 2 Facebook groups where you can do that. The one is my own Facebook group. It's called Junk Journal Deutsch. That means Junk Journal German. But there are also people from all over the world in this group. So you can write an English post there as well. That's what I'm trying to say. And of course, Facebook can also translate what you have written there automatically. The second group is a group which came to life last year, dedicated to Dephemerember. And that is also linked down below in the description box. So there you can also search for a partner. And if you are still here, then I have my first Dephemerember surprise for you already, because I made a little freebie for you from this blue fabric I made in the beginning of the video, which will later go to the inside of my cover. I have digitalized that for you so that you can download that and use that for your own creations. The link is down below in the description box as well. Perhaps you're wondering, why the heck hasn't she put both of these pieces together? Is there something missing? No, it isn't. But I want to make a hidden spine. And for that, I first need my papers. And then I have to build the signatures and then sew all of that to the blue material. And then put that to the main cover piece, you know, with the 49, so that then I later on have a hidden spine. But I will explain that in detail in my upcoming videos, of course. I hope you have a very great and creative day. See you the next time, and happy Dephemerember. Whee!